Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. Today, we have got our guest, Noir Et Blanc Vie. Welcome to the show, buddy. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, yeah, thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it.
Oh, no problem.
Cool, man. So I'm going to start off with, where did it all begin, your music journey? What, when, and who encouraged you, got you into it? What sort of influences got you into your music journey?
Oh, okay, yeah. So I would say, I mean, it kind of comes from like a dark place, but my mother was a pianist, a classical pianist, and I played flute classically when I was in grade school. And then my parents, they kind of were going through like a divorce or whatnot when I was in mid-high school. And so I decided to like pick up the piano because I don't know, I needed something that could make music, and the flute real lame at that point. So yeah, I just started playing on my mom's like Radio Shack synthesizer. I don't even know why she had it. And
Radio
it was just
Shack. Wow.
it was like some dusty old garage keyboard. It was called like the Realistic. It was the most unrealistic sounding, one of those. I really actually want to find it just to like make a video one day about it. But yeah,
Sure.
it started then. And I guess here we are. I mean, I guess I consider myself a video and a music person at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it started then.
And was there any artists that you kind of listened to back then that really kind of, got you to go down that journey?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I honestly was very influenced by Pharrell Williams.
Yeah.
I used to like wear his trucker hat backwards. I used to love to wear his just that style of hat, and I felt growing up where I grew up, which was in Huntington Beach, California. I was like the only like black guy where I grew up, right? So he had this interesting style, and it kind of fit I don't know, where I was coming from. So I actually, when I first started making music, and I don't know, this is the worst thing ever. I made a rap album, right? And I sent it to Star Trek Records, like in Virginia. I like packaged it up. I like, put all my stuff in it, and I like sent it out. Obviously, it was god awful. So yeah, I never heard back about that.
I'm sure it wasn't that bad. Hey.
That's cool, man. Yeah.
So obviously you touched base there on the video side of things. So you got your YouTube page, and obviously it looks pretty successful. I've watched a few videos. So moving on from the music and what motivated you with that, what kind of motivated you to start doing the videos,
Oh, honestly, I just watched, I didn't even watch YouTube until like 2015. Like I had seen like cat videos or like the super viral things, right?
Yeah.
But I kind of, I always thought it was the same as like E-Bombs World or whatever, where you watch random videos of stuff. And then something, I don't even know what happened. I found this video from the Angry Video Game Nerd, and I don't even remember what like video it was, but I just watched it, and I was like, oh, this motherfucking guy made a real video. Like he made a real like freaking thing. And I realized even at that point, he had like 100 something, he had done it like 100+ times. And it blew my mind that somebody would put that much time and effort into something like on a platform. And I was like, man, I don't even watch this. This is like, I don't even watch YouTube. Man, nobody watch YouTube. And right at that point, I was like, I had been very big into collecting synthesizers. And I thought, hey, he's big into collecting games. I feel this sort of similar, I guess you could say like
thought process sort of thing.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, I can do this because, something kind of comes out of you differently when you're looking at games and synths. You're looking at it in a different way than maybe someone just like playing it when you're collecting like that. So yeah, it was like literally watching Angry Video Game Nerd and being like, oh my gosh, like I had edited music videos and stuff before, and I was like, I think I could do this.
Yeah, man. I'll be honest. No, like I said to you in the email, I'm a big fan of your YouTube channel. And I thought, I'd love to get you on. And even just the quality of the lighting in your sets and your videos, you have that little filament light bulb. It all just counteracts with each other. The lighting is just awesome, and also the extreme detail you put into the review of the synthesizers is just amazing.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it was all because of him. It was all because I was like, you know, he has like a concept. He's not James. He's the angry video game nerd. He's just like a guy. And the whole Noir Et Blanc Vie came from a trip I took in France. But, you know, I didn't want to call it the angry synth nerd, because that wasn't really what I wanted to do. I wanted to be like the cool, like almost a caricature of like the cool jazz guy who's like, you know, but who's also like haunted by his love of synthesizers and stuff.
Imagine if you did have the angry synth guy. People would probably just think, oh, this guy's just smashing up synths. I want to watch that.
Who is the, I guess that would be like Simon the Magpie, but he's not really a nerd. So.
That's cool, man. So with the synthesizers then, like, what was the first sort of synthesizer that you bought? Like, what was the first one that stood out, other than your mum's one?
I was actually thinking exactly the same question.
What was
the first one that really like
you
got you?
Oh, freaking! I like this one. Or got you into the synth route?
The first one I bought, or the first one I thought about?
It could be both. Yeah, like the
either
first
or.
one, either or. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
which did you want, and which could you afford?
I could afford zero, and I was, because, you know, the weird thing is like back then, synthesizers were either the 90s, like 2000s versions of synthesizers, or it was like it was like none of the synthesizers really were out except like the Andromeda. And because the Andromeda was out, it was literally like this. It was like a Korg wave station or an Alesis Andromeda, right? Like it was like either a 90s like Rompler synthesizer or like the most expensive analog synthesizer like ever. Like I think even the Alesis Andromeda wasn't that expensive then, but it was still $2,000+ dollars.
Yeah, which is a lot of money, right? Really?
Yeah, I mean, I was like I'm like in high school, so I was like, okay, I don't even know. I can't afford these. So my mom bought me. I remember going to Guitar Center, and she bought me the MS-2000B from Korg.
Okay, yeah.
And you know, okay. The first synth I had before that, which was not really a synthesizer, was the Roland EM55, and that was one of those. You remember when they made kind of like the arranger synth? I mean, they still do, but like an arranger synthesizer with like the key, you know, like you could have like, oh, this is like samba, and this is like
presets.
The preset like arrangers, and then the little speakers. You know, even though I thought the keyboard sounded great, that was the first synth I actually had, was the Roland EM55, which I don't even know. It probably goes for like $100 now on eBay because it's so. You know, it's just a mass-produced thing. You know, it has no like collector value or whatever.
No, not like some of the original Roland stuff. Like
the first one I ever had, I can remember getting it and being so excited. It was when Paul Hardcastle did 19, the track 19. No, 19. No, 19. And Casio brought out this tiny little keyboard that had the sampler on it that you could just like push the button and put your voice in it. And my parents bought me one of those, and I sat there in my bedroom for hours going, 19. No, 19. I wish I still had it. I'll be honest with you, I don't. And again, it wouldn't be worth any money, but memory-wise, it'd be fantastic to have.
Isn't it weird that like the things that may have inspired us the most, like pushed us, like we forget them. We lay them by the wayside. They get lost because we're like, oh, I have moved beyond that. You know, once I got the MS-2000B, and then my mom, which she's the one who clearly financed everything musically. She bought me a Roland Phantom X6, And once I had like the X6 and the MS-2000, I think I took the 855 and like threw it in the trash. Like I don't even remember where the hell that thing went. Dang, what did I do? Wow, so ungrateful.
It sounds like though that your mum was obviously a big influence or a big help and encouraged you to go down this journey. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because she knew that I would never be as good as her, so she could be like, yeah, it's great, honey. I mean, she was like a concert classical pianist for her whole life. Like she was one of the prodigy people where, if you sit her down at a piano now, she goes into that like weird sort of
Zen mode of it.
Yeah, like it's you don't even know, and then she like comes out of it. It's just that like she's been doing it forever. That's amazing. Just,
that's cool, man.
It's amazing and also defeating. So
good influence.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm sure it's been an amazing influence on you over the little journey.
She helped me. She helped me keep going. If there's anything.
Yeah. I guess moving on slightly, but still talking about hardware. Obviously, you review a lot of equipment. Even just looking behind you there with your Eurorack, you've touched a lot of stuff. If you were to think about a favorite piece, could you even think of one that you would pick out as a favorite piece? And if so, why would that be your favorite piece of equipment? It's a pretty tough question.
Yeah. I mean, I try to keep the things that I leave hanging around here very like low, because I'm trying to make music, and so new stuff always sort of gets you out of your zone of being just purely about creation, because you're learning, and learning while creating is kind of tough. So I mean I really like the Tempest. I really like the Dave Smith Instruments Tempest. And that's because it's not my favorite synth of like all time, but it's probably my favorite piece of equipment, being that like I have like polyphonic synthesizer, and I also have like a slapping drum machine, right?
Mm-hmm.
All in the same package. And also the story of me learning it, I bought it for like $2,000 cash. I remember I wanted it so bad. I buy it, and then literally I couldn't use it. The thing is so like user unfriendly out of the box.
Really?
And then and I took it to my work, right? I took it to my office, and I sat there, and it was like a Saturday, and I said, I'm just gonna learn this. I'm just gonna sit here, I'm gonna like learn it. And then once I learned it, everything clicked.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So yeah, the Tempest it's funny. You see like people who buy the Tempest, and you'll immediately see it like on Craigslist, like 3 months later, like for $400 less. They just want to get rid of it. They're like, I can't believe I bought this.
Because they can't figure it out.
Just because
they can't figure it out.
Yeah.
User friendly, yeah.
Interesting.
That's interesting, man. Yeah.
I did see on one of your videos, do you have the Moog grandmother as well?
I do. I
almost bought that. I stood in the shop playing with it for 2 hours one day, and I was like, my wife will kill me if I walk out.
No, the grandmother actually sits in front here.
Right, there you go.
Mm-hmm. Look at that. That's cool.
I've loved what they did with it, bringing back a more vintage tone, and the price was like.
Yeah, it's not bad, really, is it? I think in Canada, I think it was 12 or 1,300 Canadian. I think it was in my local store for, which again isn't really that bad, right?
Sure, yeah.
No, for what you get.
For what you get, plus, I guess maybe sometimes the Eurorack compatibility with all the plugs is here, the modular capability. But yeah, the grandmother is a very. I kind of find it weird because it's a good price, yet at the same time, I still pick my old Sub 37 over it, even though I think the Moog grandmother sounds more, has more flavor, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So what kind of like music genre do you mainly focus on? Because obviously you do a lot of reviews on your
Mhm.
equipment and things like that. What is the main, have you got a main sort of genre that you mainly focus on?
I would probably say that I'm influenced a lot by the progressive jazz electronic style of music. So when I make music, it may not sound like X person, but it's definitely influenced by the likes of like a Thundercat, because I love his bass ability, but he also has amazing melodic ability, but then he also is a crazy jazz guy, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And then also people like Flying Lotus. Like I really like Flying Lotus's work, especially on, the You're Dead album. And then aside from that, I probably think a lot about old records that I liked in the past from people like Michael Jackson, even though I guess you're not allowed to like Michael Jackson anymore, but I liked him before I knew this stuff.
Yeah, I think we're okay. We can go past that.
So like with the because obviously you play a bit of jazz and things like that, and with the genre that you're doing, things like that. My question is, the sort of hardware that you've got is to make that sound for your thing, but for anyone in general that wants to get into sort of hardware, Eurorack, what would be the best route for someone who's listening to this show? What would be the best route for them to start off first?
And they want to go hardware?
Yeah, just for hardware,
Okay, so I know this is not going to be popular, but I feel like over the last, so years and years ago, not years and years, it was a few years ago, I reviewed the Roland JDXI, and weirdly, that's the only synthesizer I ever thought to myself was just like, oh wow, aside from the terrible menu system, this synthesizer has everything I could, like, it's got literally, I feel like it has like 128 voice digital synthesizer. Plus you have like, I believe it's like a 2 oscillator analog mono synthesizer inside of that. You have like the drum capability. I mean, it was, if someone was going to start brand new and it was me, I would have the Roland JDXI. Like I would just be, it's not like sexy, but yeah, I thought about that synth many times. Like, dang, there was a lot of value in that. And when you think about something like, because people like to, the question I get the most, I swear, is like the monologue or an Arturia microbrute or or they'll say like, oh, the bass station, or like, and it's so weird to me because I'm like, you're picking one sound, you're picking a monophonic analog sound, and you're having this much time. Like your songs are going to be built upon samples maybe, or piano sounds, or drum sounds. Like there's a lot going in here, and it's just like that one thing. Like I'm buying my first synthesizer. Which one? The one with the one sound? I'm like, I would much rather pick a JDXI.
I got to put my hand up. I bought the bass station.
See? I think
awkward.
Do they have the bass station? Is like a weird one where I've never touched a bass station.
Really? Interesting.
No.
Craig did for 2 hours and bought it.
Yeah, that it was the day I was playing with the grandmother, and I was like,
yeah.
Hey, the grandmother's this, and then I stood there playing with the bass station. I was like, well, for me, I'm not a producer at all.
Sure.
I'm more of a DJ, right? And
okay, cool.
And I just bought a couple of toys to play with. Brad's more of the producer of the two of us. So I've got an MPC Live. And I got the bass station, and I got my little MPK keyboard to go with the MPC. And for me, while I was stood there, I was like, price wise, it's not too bad, and it makes all my little acidy, squelchy noises that I like, and it's in my budget, and I don't do that much, so it was good enough for me. Like I said, I'm not a producer, so I'm just a guy that's playing with some toys, and it was kind of price rise, yeah, it's okay. 700 Canadian. I'll buy this, but I totally get what you're saying. It does only do certain sounds. You know, it's not the versatile unit that some others are, for sure.
Yeah.
You've also got the Roland MC303, which is a cool.
Yes, I've got an old retro Roland.
Oh, nice.
I've got it's in the 303 groove box.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Yeah.
I've always thought like I know people are like running after the new like synth. Like every week there's a new one now. You know, it's kind of like, I'm not saying it's annoying. I mean, it's great for the consumer. But that being said, something like a Roland MC303, something older, I've always been like, man, you want to create a unique sound? Go back.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, man. Totally agree.
For sure.
Totally agree.
I totally agree. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like they're making all the boutiques, aren't they? Of the Roland gear and stuff, aren't they?
Behringer, actually, me and Brad.
Oh, Behringer, yeah.
We talk quite a lot about Behringer because look at what they're doing right now, though. They are just coming out with cheap products, right? They're cheap and they feel cheap, 100%. But they do make some okay noises, and they're in a price range that a lot of people starting out could just go and buy some stuff for a few $100, and before you know it, you've got units that you can make some tracks with. Like,
and they're making
Behringer is weird. Behringer is like, it's weird. I made one video about Behringer, just because I had stated some things about a piece that I had not touched, and I believed that because I had put that out, I needed to revisit it. So I revisited it and I changed my opinion based on holding it in my hands and, you know, a subjective opinion from a user instead of a subjective opinion from an opinionated guy who already decided what I was going to feel. And that video, the most hate I ever received, and months after that. Yeah, it's my most watched video, the Behringer video, where all I literally made the video in like 20 minutes. And all I state is, you know what? I was wrong. I made a lot of things sound like facts, and they weren't. So I apologize, and here's what I really feel. That video. So after that video, I decided to never make a video about Behringer stuff because I don't want to I can't do that. I literally cannot do that. Like literally, people come in there and be like, "Well, Behringer has killed thousands of children in the world." I'm just like, well, I just bought the instrument, man. I don't know. And then someone else is like, no, Behringer has saved 1,000 babies from buying expensive Moog synths from the fascists. And I'm just like, you know what?
Yeah, I'm out.
I'm out.
I'm out for good. We're good.
So, but did your opinion go from negative to positive? Like when you actually used it, were you more positive about actually the unit itself?
Yeah.
And which unit was it? Which one did you actually try out? Because I didn't see
the Model D, which I think was like the most. I felt like that one was the most polarizing because it was their first like, hey, it's a like we're building it based on a previously created synthesizer, the Moog Model D, one of the most famous synthesizers ever, right? And my whole thing is that people were sitting there at some point, other channels were sitting there with like oscilloscopes hooked up to both, playing like the notes and like watching tiny fluctuations in the waveform and being like, see, it's not the same. And I'm thinking, I'm sitting to myself as like a listener, like a true listener, right? Where it's like the consumer, the person who's listening to your music. I'm not talking about musicians. I'm talking about just pure music listening audience. Yeah. They don't give a rat's ass. They don't know.
They can't hear that.
They can't hear anything. They don't know. The same reason is why the normal person watching a movie never thinks in their mind, I wonder what camera they shot.
Yeah. And what lighting are they using? Is that a soft box? Do they have some reflectors in there? Is that no?
Is the film any good or not?
Right.
Basically.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it's about. Does the plot make sense? Are the characters believable? Just like a piece of music, is the melody enjoyable? And does the theme fit my emotional place right now? And
100%.
Yes or no?
Yes or
no.
And
people get so wild with this stuff. Like, right? I mean, I love synthesizers, but I'm a musician and I'm enjoying the pieces. But I also know the practical reasons of this.
The reality.
What I say to people is, it doesn't matter what hardware you use, man. As long as you make the sound that you enjoy and you can do your thing, then do your thing, man. Like, I'll be honest, I watched your video on the Volca keys, and that's what made me buy it.
Oh yeah. I and you know what's funny? Those videos, the Volca keys, I actually got some flack recently where somebody was like, "You don't play the keys enough in the video," and I was just like, you know, he's kind of right, but also I'm trying to give a perspective of the person who would buy the Volca keys, less than, you know, because I'll be honest, there's so much more to a piece of equipment than the sound. And that was so true to me when it was about the Dave Smith Tempest. I heard all these people making these slapping beats, and I'm like, yo, this is lit. This is gonna be lit, and I get it, and I'm like, what the? How am I supposed to use this freaking thing? And then I'm sitting there thinking like, I've been like, you know, hoodwinked. Like I've been like, you know, sold a bill of goods because I'm like, it's not good. But then that's the thing. I'm like, I'm trying to give a perspective of who would buy it and would it be good? Because making sounds and playing demos is simple in a sense, right? Yep. Pull up a preset, push some keys. Someone says it sounds good, they go and buy it. But that's not the whole picture of the story. So
no, I mean, I play live, and like you say, it isn't just the sound; it's the usability. It's the the fact if it's a transportable piece of equipment when you do go and play live. There's loads more fundamentals to it. I noticed though that you are on your Instagram. It says you're a sequential circuits artist.
Yes.
So is that you're sponsored by them, or you are just an ambassador to them, or you?
I am. I guess you could call it an ambassador. Yeah. Meaning like, I have a very good relationship with Sequential. So that's like, cool. It happened a few years ago, and yeah, Dave Smith started to like. I started to be like entangled in the company, where I would be going to their events, and like I went to like the 50th anniversary for the Prophet 5, and you know, eventually, you know, they did like the write-up, and you know, you can put into this program where I feel like when I say being sponsored, it's like they give me stuff. No, but they will give me a discount.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, whether or they do for free or not. I mean, the fact that, you know, they're supporting you in that sort of way is really cool. And the fact that
unfortunately, I've never called it up because even with the discount, still poor. So
I think most musicians are poor.
If Dave Smith's name is attached to it, it's got some dollars attached to it too, right?
Yeah, I wish I would have been this before I bought my Prophet 6 and maxed out my Guitar Center credit card.
it also shows though that the hard work that you put into your channel and everything has, you know, sort of reaped some benefits and had you shown. And that's a good kind of hard work.
I'll be honest. I realized something big when I started the channel, is that I had been a musician and a producer for years, right? And the thing that I was never good at was being out there and being personable with people. And the funny thing is, I've realized is that what matters more than anything is relationships. The reason why I became like a sequential artist was because I had a relationship with the artist relations person at Dave Smith before it was Sequential, right? His name was Justin, right? I was like cool with him, and then everywhere I go, we would talk, and then it's like slowly we became actual friends, where like when we email, it's not just like, hey, give me money, or hey, can I have free synthesizers? It's like we talk about the Tempest because it's going out of production, you know, things like that. And the same with people at Moog. I have a relationship with a lot of companies, even though it doesn't seem like it. But the only reason I do is because I'm friendly with the people. Like I actually enjoy being friends with them. Whereas before, I was like this snotty ass freaking artist where I was just like, I'm the best. I've been playing forever. I don't need none of this. And then I would go home and make the best music ever, but then I would be at home and no one sees you when you're at home.
No, right? Man. So, again, it's like you're doing more damage to yourself. But the fact
Yes,
that
yes.
you know, you're doing more damage to your image and your actual music, but the fact that, you know, you show that you're passionate is huge respect to me. That's why I asked you to come on the show, because I find a lot of people now all about, I mean, I'm crap on social media, I am,
Oh
but
yeah,
a lot
yeah,
of
yeah.
people are, look at me, look at me, look at me. But then you look at some of the people, like we've had our last guest and yourself, they're really into the fine grittiness and they put the effort and the time in to really enjoy that style of music, right? And I can respect that totally, and that's why I got you on the show. That's a huge
No, yeah,
respect
thank
for
you.
that.
I really do feel like, you know, with every artist that probably gets anywhere, you know, it's either like flash in the pan, right? Because maybe there wasn't any substance there, or, and I felt like this is a weird thing. I am in and out of YouTube and the social media world. I'm here and then I'm gone for like 5 months because I'm doing something else, right? But weirdly, every time I come back, I still retain similar viewership, and the same people that were there before come back and they enjoy the stuff. Whereas a lot of other people, you know, they have to, they're constantly like putting out videos, and they're kind of like, their viewership and the things like Wayne's, it's like they put out a video 1 week and it's like it gets 20,000 views or something, and then the next week they put out a video and it gets like 5,000, right? And it's nothing against them, it's just you're putting out things all the time, but you're hitting, you know, randoms.
It's like
right?
quantity but not quality, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I never wanted to, I always wanted to be proud of what I did. Even though I've made plenty of mistakes throughout my YouTube, like, wow, my life. But I just felt like every video you put out, the last video is literally, it's a, people are going to watch that. That's the thing they're going to say. And they have to make a judgment based on that video of like, oh, do I want to go further or am I stopping?
Yeah, you're only as good as your last job, is what you're trying to say, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, gotcha. So the sequential circuits, the first sort of synth that really got me was Vince Clarke and Yazoo, Don't Go. And you played the Prophet one, but when you played the main chord, like the main sort of melody, that you see him standing there in the music video for Don't Go, and he's just got this like curtain coming down here like that, and he's playing with one hand going, and it's wicked. And I thought, I love that, because the 80s is great for the electronic sort of scene, right? The synths are.
I was going to say it was the era of the synthesizer, really, wasn't it?
It was cool.
Yeah, that era is so weird, because I wonder about that time where the synth was, you know, kind of like when the Buggles had like Video Killed the Radio Star, and like everything is like a synthesizer, you know, in the 80s, the time that I really liked, because I'm a big fan of Madonna, and I love like what's his name, played guitar on like so much of her stuff. He was the guy from Chic. Oh my goodness, I'm blanking on his name.
Yeah, I can't think of his name either.
Anyway, so much of the music is just, it's a synthesizer, like Lucky Star from Madonna from the 80s. I love that song. And I keep thinking, I wonder if in that time there were people being like, which synth is this? As much as today, where it feels like people are and I'll be honest, I like music where I don't know what the heck somebody used, and I want to be blown away by being like, and this may sound kind of old and antiquated, but if you guys remember Skrillex, from a few, I don't know, I guess not a few, it was a long time ago now, but it feels like a few years ago, when he released like his albums with like Equinox and all that stuff, and you're hearing all this wild sounds, yet it's like still retaining that insane like melody. That's the kind of stuff I liked, where I'm like, I don't know what the heck he used, but this is amazing.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think, I honestly think back in the 80s, if we went back to that era again, I don't think many people really cared. Like you said, I think it was just like, wow, this is new. Yeah. This sounds amazing. I don't care what it is, but whatever it is they're using, that sounds fucking great.
The synth was kind of new.
Yes, right?
In a way, right? Yeah, like, I mean, I wasn't like alive to really hear the, you know, people care, but, you know, it was like Moog, and then it was the era of anything. where kind of the first electric car is like, it's weird and it's esoteric and no one understands why, and everyone's saying this is ridiculous. It's like the Moog Model D, where it's like all people doing like classical pieces, and then it's like wild space music, and then 2001 A Space Odyssey. And then finally it comes into the Vogue, and then it fades away, and you know, it evolves from there, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I was born in 89 in December, so I'm claiming that I am an 80s baby.
Yeah. I'm a little bit older. I was born in 73, so I do remember some of the stuff as it was happening.
See, I wish I could remember it, because there's so much music from then that I like. I would love to have been able to see Prince. I mean, I saw him when he was living here at the Forum, thank goodness. But I would have loved to see him when he was like
back in the
his
day,
heyday, doing like Little Red Corvette. If I could have seen that, oh my goodness.
Raspberry Beret for me, right there. That track, just every time I listen to it, sends little tingles up my spine.
Right? It's such a weird track. I almost feel like it's out of tune with itself.
Yes, but it's amazing. It's
yeah,
good.
right?
It works.
Right. If I'm gonna put Prince on every time, my wife is a very big fan of Prince.
All right.
Way more so than me, and that's our little go-to track. If I'm like, you know, trying to cheer her up, I'll throw on Raspberry Beret for sure.
If she's mad with you?
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? This is interesting. I would like to know, now I think about it, the synth that plays, it's kind of like the main melody. It's like that. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
And I can hear it. I can hear the sound, but I'm like, what the hell is that?
What is that?
It's like, it sounds like a synth violin.
Yeah.
Weirdly.
I'm gonna have to Google it once we finish the interview. Yeah. I'm gonna geek out on that one for sure. Actually, as well, we were kind of looking on your page and we noticed you're the founder of M&M or MM. Can you tell us a little bit about that? What it's about, and why, and what got you to start that? What's it all about?
Yeah, M&M is Modulate Multimedia. So I started that after I had the channel for quite a while, and it's kind of hasn't been happening since coronavirus, but basically Modulate Multimedia was a company where I took other companies that had been interested in the online space for content, and I would take their products, and it all started because Pittsburgh Modular, they hired me. I guess it started with them. They were like, hey, like we like what you did in some stuff, but we just want you to do it for us and like have nobody know that you did it, right? Okay. Not because they didn't want, they needed someone to do product-based content. And so I did some work for them. And this was around the time when they were releasing, I forget what it was, but it was a certain piece. And then from there, I started to work with other companies, which New Neighbor, who makes guitar pedals. I did a bunch of work for New Neighbor. And it just became a company on the side where I could make the videos. Nobody would know it was me, but it all stemmed from being, I felt like I was pretty good at making YouTube videos about products. Yeah. And companies saw that and they were just like, oh, like literally I got reached out to all the time by companies, and I was like, I don't have time. I'm not going to do this. And then I was just like, you know what? I need money. So I can do this. And Modulate Multimedia is what MM is. There's not enough room to put it there. And yeah, it's just it's been a side business where I help companies do the video, the photography, and whatever.
It's cool. Something that basically came out of what you were doing with YouTube and turned into another little side business. That's amazing, really, you know?
Yeah, I didn't think it was going to be a thing. And then it came very organically. I wasn't looking for the work. It was just companies would find me, they'd DM me. And, you know, it's hard. I'll be honest. That's like the hardest part, is because I'm not like a money person. I mean, I am a money person, but I hate talking money. I hate talking money with companies and things like that. which is usually why why I hardly ever do like reviewed videos. I just can't do it. I'm just like, let me just make the video. But I can do it better with companies when they're like, yes, we want a video showcasing a product. You are not the name or the face. You are just the producer of this. And they put it out and no one ever knows. And,
yeah,
you know.
That's awesome.
That's cool, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's real good. I see you. I see on your page as well. You played in Germany with a band, and that had like a bit of a. You were playing the keyboard or some synth, and then you had a bit of a saxophone in there. Is that to do with the whole sort of genre that you're going for? Is that what?
Yeah, I guess you could say that. I mean, I'm a big fan of playing live. And like I like good players. Like I just do. I like people who. There's like something about the live, either trio or, you know, maybe the 4-piece or whatever. I just like the kind of ability to have a live performance with people who are bringing to the music in the moment, right? I think that gets so lost. I wish there was a community. You know, people play games online, right? But like, where's the community for people making music online? Like, where's the like hookup for like 3 guys to be like, hey, everybody sync up? And I know people are going to say latency, right? But if they can fix latency in Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, whatever, they can 100%. Fix the latency with music.
100%. Yeah.
And I just feel like we've gone away from, people just make music alone now for the most part. And I know that I struggle with that because I'm like, you know, I know people, it's weird, but people like will be like, dude, your YouTube channel and like, yo, like that must be like such a dope job to like just make videos all day and like that's so dope. And I'm just like, it's sitting in a house in front of a computer screen. It's basically an office job, except I don't get to see anyone. The only difference is you're probably filling out an Excel sheet and I'm playing with a musical instrument, but don't think that those are as far apart as you think.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It's a job, right?
That's like that's kind of why we started this podcast. I mean, I produce and obviously create DJs and stuff like that as well. And but again, like you say, with COVID being in, you're in your bedroom, which even more so. And obviously making these podcasts, you think, oh, actually, I can meet some more people, interesting people, and find out their journeys and what they're all about. And
we just love talking about it.
We just
love geeking out and talking about.
No, you know, this is fun for me because I honestly, you know, I crave like the musical, and not just that, just the personal connection. That's for sure. Just right now, it's a bit hazardous in a way. Y'all in Canada are a bit more safe.
It didn't affect us as much, and again, where we are in BC, just outside Vancouver, we had the least amount of problems with COVID. We've been very lucky,
was really
you know. And again, we look at all the figures, so yeah, it is a bit of a weird situation for sure. But again, I think going back to exactly what you said earlier, and again what you just said now, it really is all about relationships. Everything.
Yeah.
I've tried. I have a 14-year-old daughter. I've drummed this into her head for years. This whole life that we live is about relationships. Everything you do is about a relationship. Even if it's going and getting your cup of coffee from Starbucks every day, and you see the same lady every day, and you have a smile and you have a chat. That's a relationship right there. Everything we do, and it's the most important part of life. I truly believe.
Yeah, and a lot of the time it doesn't even take much effort. Really,
it doesn't take any effort.
Just being generally, cool and
I actually, this was an interesting quote that I heard, which absolutely like blew my mind when I heard it. Was that you know, rich people don't send their kids to Harvard because Harvard's a good college. It's rich people send their kids to Harvard because Bill Gates' kids go to Harvard.
100%.
Steve Jobs' kids went to Harvard. You know what I'm saying? And it's 100%. All about, oh, don't worry. I mean, yes, do whatever you can, but it's meet
who you can.
You know,
meet those people. Get friendly with those people. Yeah, they're the people you want to be friends with for sure.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
So I've got a quick question about your modular and Eurorack stuff. Because obviously I'm quite new to the Eurorack. I'm looking to get into it as well. And also to be good for other people that are listening to obviously go down this route as well. where would you start with Eurorack? Because there's so many components you can buy. There's so many. When I look at it, there's filters, there's VCOs, there's this, there's that, there's sequencers, and But what instead of buying just one brand, what sets out other brands to put this Eurorack together?
Oh, and I guess almost even what bits, if you only had a certain budget and you needed to get
Yeah,
Eurorack going, which would be the first ones that you might grab.
Well, I would say don't start where I started, because when you do, you end up rebuying everything, right? So I always think that the first place is probably a semi-modular piece. So what would be a standalone synth in its own right, yet it's Eurorack compatible. So I always say the SV1 is my go-to, because the first ones I had were the Mother 32. But the problem was the Mother 32 doesn't scale with Eurorack the same way as normal Eurorack. So eventually I got rid of the Mother 32, and I still have the SV1 from Pittsburgh Modular, which I saw that they have like a SV1B coming out. Okay. So I will probably buy an SV1B to replace this SV1, because I think since it's easier to understand a synthesizer, I think going with a standalone is the place to start, so that it's already broken apart now. Like, you can make a sound without patching anything, but then you can start patching so that oh, this is broken, and I can insert something here. And you can get some sound out of the end. But I always think start with a bigger case, because when I started, I had a smaller case, and that case was like $400 back then. And so that ended up, I had to rebuy a case. Okay. So, and I always think power supply and case together. Don't buy a case and then a separate power supply, because, usually you're not sure how many modules you're going to have, but usually the manufacturers of the case who put the power supply in, they think about the amount of size you have and the amount of power draw that is possible. Yeah. So those would be my two starting points: is buy a case bigger than you think, except that's going to screw you up, because the whole Eurorack thing in the mind is like filling the case. Like, there's something that screws you up. Yeah. So not too big. And then also buying the semi-modular as the first piece. But then there's so many things that I bought that I would not buy again that are still here, because I just wanted to fill space. Like, I have this like tip-top fold processor, which is like, I don't even know. I mean, I know what it does, but there's nothing plugged into it for a reason, and nothing almost ever is plugged into it.
Just to fit a gap.
Yeah, it was like $120 on Amazon. There it is. I put it in here. I would take it out if I could, and I would say almost everything. There's some stuff. It's weird. It seems big, but when I look at it, I'm like, oh man, there's so much stuff
there's some big ones out there. Yeah.
Like the KB1 is so like, I love that, but man, that is big, and that's like a lot.
Because I see you went down. I don't know whereabouts exactly was, but you went to like some sort of conventions where there is, I don't know if it was like Nightlife Electronics or whatever, and Pittsburgh obviously were there, but they use at some shows where you can actually test that equipment and stuff like that. So when you buy stuff, do you buy it and try it, or do you go to these events to try out them before you buy it?
We have a great store here called Perfect Circuit, and Perfect Circuit here is very, very good at having modules. And I mean, I feel like they almost have every module that they have for sale in like maybe like 4 racks. They have like 4 giant like racks around the store, so you can play almost any one you want. And I feel like for me, that's a bit of a better environment, because it's kind of a store, and so you just put the headphones on and just sort of, head down and go. Conventions are tough because the person wants to like talk to you, or there's only one version, and like people are like walking by the booth, so they want to use it. I honestly I bought some of these sight unseen So, like the two that I heard that sounded great. There's Tip Top Audio 808 modules that I have, the bass drum 808 and the snare drum 808, right? Those modules I heard, and they sounded amazing when I played them at Perfect Circuit. But then there's other modules with other issues that you don't know about until you kind of get to your own setup, which is the problem. Yeah. So I have a Pittsburgh modular system interface, which is basically just a mixer.
Yep.
I've had a lot of, I guess, shielding issues with that module. So a lot of like noise floor interference stuff.
Interference, yeah.
And that is like who cares how it sounds if you're hearing like a buzz? You know how musicians are. You hearing that buzz? It's low, but it's like louder than the sound in a way, right? So it's weird. Once you get into your own system, everything kind of changes. The data module, that's a really good module. I would say anyone who buys a modular could buy a data module, and you have a lot of stuff there. It's a digital module, but like, I mean, I'm not a purist of analog or anything, so.
I guess as well, since we're talking about hardware, we haven't even touched on what do you use for software? Like when you're doing your recordings and stuff, what's your go-to software?
Okay, so I was a Cubase original person. I loved Cubase when I first started. About
Cubase yesterday, actually, because they've just Cubase has kind of like redone one, haven't they? And
did they?
Cubase? I think so, yeah.
I need to look now. I'm on 10 or something. But Cubase was my first software, and then somehow I got converted. Probably because Reason. If you guys remember, maybe at some point, Reason and Cubase were very like hand in hand because of the rewire capability, right? And then eventually Reason released that like record software, which was terrible standalone. Then they came back together and they made Reason again, but now it was also with the record capabilities for audio and stuff. So I got converted to Reason, and then Reason just became so awful, like for me, like bogged down with like it just seemed like bad optimization or something, right? That I went back to Cubase and I realized I was like, man, you know, I really do like Cubase. I've except the guitar amp. I don't like the guitar amp Cubase, but aside from that, I feel like Cubase, you don't even need really like any plugins that you buy on your own. I mean, I still buy plugins, but Cubase now is so good.
Yeah. I'll use Reason. I mean, but they keep bringing up different updates every time. I'm like, I'm not going to spend so much money just to keep updating it when the current version does pretty much what the new version does.
Reason, it was weird, and maybe it was me. Maybe it's my computer or something, right? But like, I went from like Reason like 7 to like 8, and there was just this one point where I upgraded, and it was just like I'm like trying to like move the mouse and everything is just so sluggish, and I was just like, whoa, like I didn't do anything like differently. And Cubase still works like a charm, and it's weird because I'm just like, and I think maybe they were going through, if you remember, like they were trying to add the VST into it. And like the thing is, why did Reason was always so great because they were doing their own thing. They were having their own fun. They weren't trying to be like, hey, have the plugin windows everywhere. And then they just, I guess they decided, you know, let's play like everybody else, I guess.
I learned on version 4 and I've just stuck with it really. Which is really old version.
Version 4 definitely. Version 4 is probably the best one to be. Version 4 is the best one because version 4 is when they had Thor.
That's when Thor Synth just come out. Yeah, but it's just it was basic back then. It was just like you've got it in front of you. You do what you do, and then like you say, the VST plugin size was a bit.
Reason 4 is the best version.
Yeah, it was good, man. I like 6 as well, but I use I rewire the. Because I use Logic as well in some things, you know, Logic's pretty cool, and then I use the rewire for that. That's not too bad.
Logic,
pretty cool.
I remember using Logic years ago, and I always felt like Logic was so like way ahead of its time in terms of like the amount of features and plugins and stuff that you got back then. I remember and also I think the MIDI roll, like the key roll and all that stuff in Logic was just so killer back then. I could just have fun making great like electronic songs in that. It was just way more intuitive. Cubase is not, I don't like the piano roll as much in Cubase. I loved the piano roll in Logic. Loved it.
Yeah, because a lot of people use Ableton, didn't they, as well?
Yeah,
A lot of
people love Ableton right now.
They do, yeah.
I actually do have Ableton on my MacBook. I don't use it. I also have, because the MPC comes with their kind of little software too. But with the MPC, I don't even need the software. It's got the DAW built in, so I don't mess around with my laptop when I'm making my little loops. But yeah, I think a lot of people do use the Ableton.
They do use Ableton.
Thinking about the future, since we've been chatting for a while, what do you have any new equipment reviews coming up or production plans yourself? Like, what have you got sort of future plans coming up?
So I have one video coming out Tuesday, which is coming out next week. It is for, well, I guess it's not a review, but it is what the heck is this thing called? The Subharmonicon.
Okay.
Nice. So I did a video maybe a month ago about I just played a piece with the Subharmonicon, and people were really asking me like, how did you play the chords on the keyboard with the Subharmonicon? Like, it's like one synth, like how did you play chords and stuff? So I made a video about kind of my way of thinking about harmony on the Subharmonicon, because technically you could make a 6-voice chord on the Subharmonicon. So I showed how to do that, which I don't like to do. I'll be honest. I don't like to do tutorial videos, but I said, you know what? When in Rome, make something for the people who probably, I think people may benefit from it. So I can do something like that.
I honestly think a lot of people do like watching tutorials, because there's a lot of us out there that need the tutorial.
I watch tutorials. Like I always tell people, right? I don't learn from learning. I learn from loop hop. I watch loop hop video.
Yeah.
I got the DFAM. That's a cool little kit, man. The
DFAM is so interesting. I feel like I need to get all three together, because I've never owned them at the same time.
Yeah.
And now they have 3 of the like range, from the Mother 32 to the DFAM to the Subharmonicon. I feel like you could really do something cool. They made the melodic monophonic mothers. They got the drums with the DFAM, and now they got the harmony. You could do something interesting. I have yet to see someone do that. In terms of actual reviews, like making fun reviews, the next synth is, because I don't do like super new ones, is the Akai Tomcat. It's so if you guys remember, like the Akai Rhythm Wolf was like a drum machine about maybe not 10 years ago, maybe like 7 years ago. They came out, and they were like very like not popular. But the Akai Tomcat was always one where I just was like, okay, like it always had my brain wanting to have it and mess with it, right? Because it came out the same time as there was this video where this guy named Akai Dan was playing like basically an Akai synth, and it was so bad. He was like a product specialist, and he's like playing it, and someone's videoing him, and it's the worst like synthesizer demo ever. You can like probably type in worst synth demo, and it'll pop up Akai Dan, and it's literally like it's the worst. So yeah, Akai Tomcat is a drum machine. Since I haven't made a 1-minute synth review in months, this was fun. This is going to be fun, because I don't know. I have to be like having a good time. This whole thing, right? And I know a lot of YouTubers are different. They're really like focused on like the new synth. That's how you get the views. You got to do the new synth, within like a couple days of its release, and like you gotta like, and I don't really like to do that, so I'd have more money and I'd have more subscribers, but I kind of have to have like a personal interest and investment in the piece.
Yeah,
so
I think that's the only way you're going to get the best out of the piece as well, right? And people can hear the best out of that piece.
yeah, and also, I mean, when was old bad? Like, so in my mind, I always think like I kind of came up watching the Angry Video Game Nerd. He wasn't reviewing the PS3 game that was out at the time, which is what would have been happening, right? He was reviewing a game 20 years old because it interested him.
Yeah.
So my thing is, you know, there may be a synth that's a couple years old that I always thought about. I mean, I'd rather be interested in that than something.
I think I think it comes across in anything you do, any kind of art, be it videos, music production, or actually art itself. If you truly have the passion for it, be it whatever it is, that comes across in what you're doing. So if obviously you're interested in that older piece of equipment, you're going to do a way better video about it than something that's just come out and it's just new and you're just trying to do a video to get the video out there, because that's what you should do because it's a new piece of equipment. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, which I did, and I swore to never do that again, which was the Prophet Rev 2. Like, I loved that. I loved the synth, but that video swore me off of making reviews about complicated synthesizers with like deep menu system and stuff, because it's just like you can never cover everything. Like, I don't make videos like that, right? So you end up being like you end up doing a disservice, because there's people who buy that synth who want to know about the layers and they want to know about this, and it's like, I'm gonna make like a 15-minute like review. I'm gonna try to make it entertaining. I'm not gonna be like, you know, I can't do all that people want sometimes.
Yeah, you're never going to please everyone, but there's always people out there, including myself, that will just be like, fucking, this is a cool video, man.
Yeah. What about production plans? You got any tracks coming up that you're working on, or any stuff you're doing with anyone else? Any collaborations?
Yeah, you know, I really want to keep making music for the YouTube audio library. I've been doing a lot of that. And I guess it's only like creators really know about the YouTube audio library, but I've been stuck doing that for like, and I say stuck as if I hate to do it. It's not that I hate to do it. It's just every time I sit and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to need to put out a few solid like pieces of work onto Spotify and things like that. I get like a message from the people at Google, and they're like, hey, would you like to like make music for the audio library? And Google is definitely more financially, they're better at paying than me getting Spotify views or Spotify listens on a playlist, right?
Yeah.
So you know, I end up being like, you know, there is this balance. So I've honestly been stuck in the making music for creators space for like 2 years now. But I'm trying to not do that. Other than that, I mean, I want to put out at least 2 pieces of work before the end of 2020. So if no YouTube audio library happens, because I just finished one group of music for them, if they don't hit me back, then I will finish. If they do hit me back for more music, then I have to eat. So yeah, I'll be doing that and not making my own music.
Eating's good for sure. It's like you gotta put some food in the fridge, right?
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, Noir, it's been a pleasure having you on the show, buddy. Man. I really enjoyed the chat, and I look forward to watching more of your videos and maybe hearing some of your productions when they come out. Like I said, we really appreciate you coming on board, buddy.
Yeah, you guys are very on top of like the questions and actually, you know, being good at this.
We try to be a bit productive.
Yeah. No, I mean, you know, I've done these from time to time, and yeah, this is you guys have a good chemistry as well.
Thanks, man. We really appreciate that. We're very new to the whole podcast game, but we're very much committed to it, and we enjoy it. It's fun. This is fun. Like, I'll be honest with you, me and Brad have talked about it a couple of times. Me personally, I don't listen to podcasts.
Yeah.
But I really enjoy doing it. I like, again, it's like we said, relationships. Just
me.
right now,
Yeah.
we just, you're in LA, we're here in Vancouver, and we just sat down and had a really nice chat together about music,
Right.
which we all love, right?
And you know I'm going to come to Vancouver.
Oh,
I got to make my way up there, guys.
Yes, mate.
Exactly, and you're gonna